And we're alive! We're alive!
There.
We're alive! We're alive! This has been a Friday the 13th introduction to this video.
I felt it.
Also, I've been eating Chris's hair, which is why Chris's hair is purple and my lips are purple. That's my explanation for it. That's it. Done. Hi, everybody. I hope you're ready for some nonsense because I've got coffee and crazy and...
Me too. Me too.
No. So happy Friday the 13th to you guys. Hi, Random. Hi, Michael. Hey, Judia. Hi, Hellbound. Hey, Susie.
Friday the 13th even.
October Friday the 13th. It's Halloween the 13th. Let's just say it how it is.
It's double Halloween, guys.
It's double Halloween. Double. Boiling trouble. You're in here with the live chat with Chris and Joe. Hi, everybody. Hi, Traveling Witch. Hi. Oh, gosh, I can't even pronounce that. Tracy and a witch called Autumn and Mitzi. I'm just going to call you Mitzi because the rest of it is confusing to me. And I'm not good with names when they're, you know, normal. And hi to Gargoyle. And hi, everybody. Hi. Welcome to Shadow Work, Monsters, and Shadows. So I hope you guys are having a great Friday the 13th. I really was looking forward to this live chat with me and Chris today for Shadow Death Tribe, which we need like a heavy metal like overlay, just Shadow Death Tribe! Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Like a high pitched bit with like at the back. Yeah, we need one of those. So if someone can make me like
scream it. He's pretty good at that.
Okay, get him to death scream that. We'll tape it and then we'll just play
Scream
it.
Shadow Death Tribe. Why?
Yeah.
Well.
Now it's vivid. Oh, I like that. Now it's so vivid. TGIF 13.
Oh
I like
God,
that.
Yes.
That's so good. Hashtag. Thank you. I'm glad you like my lipstick. It's because I've been chewing on Chris's head and yum 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 because she's got purple on the top of her head and that's what it looks. Nutritious. Delicious. Nutritious. So we're talking about Angrboda today.
Yes.
Angrboda, and this is how I really want to start off with looking at monsters. And I will say that I'm going to be basically piggyback launching a series on my own channel following this, which is going to be Myths and Monsters, where we look at myths, monsters, and sort of like the psychological, spiritual makeup of it. And Asbjorn's going to be doing it with me because I was talking about it and he was like, yeah, I'm getting in on that shit. And I was like, okay, sure. You know loads about the Nordic stuff, so you know. I love you.
We need to do another, like, 3 of us chat again soon, too. We haven't had
should tell him you said so.
while.
Yes. Well, you're probably. She will be on probably in the Myths and Monsters section at some point, probably. And by probably, you mean you know it. You know it.
You mean like how right now we're kicking it off?
Yeah. You know how we get deep into the serious conversation straight away?
Yes.
Probably.
Right away.
It's not me pulling faces and messing with my hair and talking nonsense. And I haven't even started this series yet, ladies.
Yeah.
Chill.
You can probably explain.
I am launching it off the back of this. So Angrboda is from the Nordic tradition and she's considered to be a ice giant, I believe is the correct terminology. But when I was like feeling it out and like getting my hands on what I could get my hands on, which is not much. Which is not much. I get this feeling like she's a goddess and the kind of like the retelling of it has like made them into giants, very much like the way the Tuatha De Danann get made into Fae in the Celtic retelling of stories. So I have a strong feeling. Yeah, I'm getting like shooting energy.
They're supposed to be giants anyway, and people think they're small because little people was like ironic, right?
So it really is my feeling like she's a dark goddess, and if you don't know, she is the mother of Goddess Hel.
My mom, but you know, not like my mom, but you know, my mom. You know?
So she had babies with Loki, which is always fun. And that's the main surviving mythology which is available which basically talks about her having children with Loki. She is known as the Hag of the Iron Wood, the giantess, with whom Loki would sometimes reside. And according to a lot of the...
I like how they put that, though. He would sometimes reside.
Well, it's Loki, you know, pinning down Loki is
like they come, they went, is... Yeah.
See, I read that he had actually married her, but then I read that he had other places that he had an Aesir wife as well. So, you know,
I've always assumed that she wasn't like the only one like that. Anyway.
So she gave birth to the goddess Hela, Fenrir, the giant wolf, who he's gonna get some. You know, fangs in gods towards Ragnarok. And then we have the Jormungandr, which is fun to say. Jormungandr. The myth where I cover Jormungandr is going to be hilarious because it's going to be literally 20 minutes of me going, Jormungandr. I may even make like a proper like little soundbite with just my face like Jormungandr and just insert it at random points.
And if you can't say that, you can also just say Midgard serpent. But Jormungandr.
I could, but that's a dirty phrase in my house, so I don't. She's the mother of almost the entire Rocha pantheon, as well as a matrilineal line of semi-divine heroes and the goddess of the Aurora Borealis, Gerda, according to my information. Now, I found a really interesting piece, and I will try and remember to link it down below. And it's Shadow Light is the blog piece, and he analyzes that.
Means CRIS is going to make a note.
I did link it to you a little while back when we were talking about the realm candle.
Okay.
It's that one. And he talks about the idea that Angrboda gets presented as different goddesses which are actually her. And gives evidence for it, and that's something else. And I'm always a little bit hesitant when people are like, actually, this goddess is this goddess, and here's the reasoning why. Because it looks very much like in this mythology that it's got some interesting points, and there's a myth associated with a giantess and Baldur, and the giantess rides in on a... Where is that? Let me find it. Let me find it.
In the meantime, song and dance. Wait.
I think this is it. Angrboda's next
appearance
really before the Aesir gods.
On here.
Yeah, for singing, dancing, and you know. Came as the result of her Vedic action with her reinvigorated lover Loki. When Baldur had died, the gods were preparing to launch Ringhorn, his funeral ship. They found that the mass of fuel and gifts heaped upon it made it impossible to move. Helpless, they sought someone strong enough to push it and resorted to calling for Angrboda, whose strength was known throughout the 9 worlds. It was the force of the strong eastern winds who send ships westward into the deadly sea realms of Ran and Aegir. Aegir is the northern name for Gaimir, the concealer, Angrboda's husband, who can be entrusted to keep secrets. Angrboda in this myth is called Hirokin. So this is this resource calling Angrboda the same giantess. And as Hirokin, she came to launch Ringhorn. She came upon the funeral scene riding an immense wolf and holding 2 wreathing serpents as the bridle. She offered to give her assistance if the gods would hold her steed in interim. Odin ordered 4 berserkers to do this. They failed, and in mockery, Hirokin tied up the horse in a matter of seconds. She then lent her shoulder to Baldur's ship and pushed it with such ferocity that the sky and earth quaked, and the fire blazed from the rollers on which it sat. For some reason, this upset Thor, who, true to form, tried to knock her down with his hammer. Embarrassed by Thor and his penchant for Freudian symbology, the gods managed to restrain him and avoid a most inappropriate faux pas. Now that's perhaps the one that
it wasn't already.
That's perhaps the one of the myths where he attributes Angrboda to a different name that I can get most behind, because the symbology matches up with the snakes and it being to do with hell and Baldur, and putting Baldur back into the realm of the dead, and hell being Angrboda's daughter. And this is an interesting point, because we consider hell to be a goddess, right? There is nothing in the Nordic mythology that says that she is not a goddess. So if she's a goddess, then wouldn't it therefore make sense that her mother was a goddess?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you can say that she's a giantess as well, so they don't exclude each other, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's referred to as both.
Yeah. So within the Nordic lore that you understand, what is the difference between like gods and giants within the Nordic telling of these myths?
Oh, very honestly, to me, I think the giants are generally ones they just wanted to not call gods. Like
take the importance away from them a little bit.
They feel still quite powerful. But I mean, I look at like Surtur, and Surtur is badass. Why is he called a giant instead? He's I mean, yeah. So it's really interesting to me, the ones that they choose to say that with instead of the others. And there are a lot of theories too, because some people have theories on like in terms of who was called a giant and who was Aesir and Vanir and all this, in being actual like nations battling each other. And I mean, I don't know if you've ran into that at all, but like,
so it being like a reflection of what was going on in the world. Yes. So it's basically like a reflection of humanity within the
yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Everyone likes that was kind of
it's
yeah,
interesting.
No, I do too.
I like the interplay there with the way that mythology like reflects what's going on at the time, which is of course one of the issues that I take with people who adhere to the mythology and nothing else. It's like, well, mythology is written by men or women, but whichever. And it might not even be the people whose mythology it was initially. And in that case, it's usually Christian monks, which were always men. And so then you get like a Christianized version of these myths. And I just wonder if the Nordic tradition had problems the same way the Celtic tradition had problems with the retelling and the transcripts, and then them making certain energies
lost in communication
negative. Yeah,
so on purpose or not.
Yeah, and you have like a deep power thing that goes like making the dark goddesses and the primal gods and things less powerful because it didn't sit with the Christian telling of gods. And Angrboda for me, and we will talk about it in terms of shadow work and things. I will read that in a minute, Anzika, because that's interesting.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about it in terms of like shadow work, for obviously, because this is what shadow prep does. Yeah, we talk about shadow, and that's where I'm going forward with this series as well. Is we're going to talk about it in terms of like a spiritual journey. So we're going to talk about monsters and myth and what that means for like spirituality and magic and things. So I'm going to read Anzika's comment because, for anyone watching later. I was under the impression that giants were a different race that came from elsewhere. The only real difference between them and that was the only real difference, that one of them was foreigner.
So see how I was talking about the different races and the reflection of that? That's what I meant. Is, you know, one was considered foreign and one wasn't, basically. And the like the interplay between like the nations, if you will, back and forth, or the tribes.
And JD says, you also have the troubles of how stories might differ over distance. That might account for some of the changes you see. So yeah, distance, time, retelling, and things getting lost, apart from anything. That so many myths get lost that may have changed our interpretation of it. So
well, think about it. Even our language changes. You can go
Yeah.
you know, several miles in one direction and our language completely changes. The accent changes, maybe the slang changes. And that's stuff that we use every day. So that makes total sense that it would lose stuff back and forth.
And obviously Vikings were well traveled as well. And, you know, they spread out, they conquered, they raided, they married in. And the way that myth gets entangled with the mythology of other people is also something else. Like, you don't have one, I don't even want to call it pure myth, because, you know, that gives rise to all sorts of ugly connotations. But it doesn't exist, because you have the retelling of myths through the lenses of different people who come into contact with different people, and things evolve. You know, it's Chinese whispers effectively, and the retelling and the retelling and the retelling of things changes, and the emphasis of things changes. So it's a difficult thing anyway, mythology. I love mythology. I really, truly do love mythology, but the less available mythology makes it A, more difficult, and B, far more interesting in terms of a spiritual connection for me. Because if the less you know, the less like preconceived notion you have, and you don't go in thinking, right, well, this is going to be this and this is going to be that. You rather, you go seeking. And to me, the seeking of the energies of a goddess such as Angrboda, who I'm convinced is a goddess, and I will not be told otherwise. I mean, I'm sure I'll get people in the comments being like, it's a giantess, how dare you? And
she will not be told otherwise.
I will not. I have my purple lipstick on. I am firm. Anyway, I don't know what that's got to do with anything. I'm just, you know, why not? Oh, that's interesting as well, JD. One of the more modern myths that comes to mind is that of Bloody Mary, and how much that differs through states and countries. And I think it's like that, but with much older technology.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's a modern folklore.
That would actually be really cool for you to dip into with the series, personally.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
As well.
I need a pen. Damn it. Okay, I'll try and remember that for later.
Like, is this really what it is? Yeah.
So, oh, hi, Jem. And hi to Amaryllis as well. I hope I'm saying that right. I might not be, because it's me. So, rather than have a huge preconceived notion going in with working with Angrboda, basically you have very limited myth. And there were some interesting parallels that I noticed and were brought to the attention in reading about between her and Lilith. Because they have monstrous children, and their children are taken away from them and as punishment and this sort of thing. And they have this very, gosh, she is full on energy. I've got energy up my arms, energy down my legs. It's like Angrboda's
she don't hold back. Like, if there was like, follow me here, guys, because this is gonna be, you know, my analogies. If there was like a badass biker bitch in the mythology, it would be Angrboda. Okay? Like, that's the best way I know how to put it. Like, she is this, like, no holds barred, fucking, like, strong, blunt, like,
yeah.
But she's also very protective, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And motherly in that way. But
I just got a little energy right down my back when you said, like, that.
I mean, think of it. She's like a mother wolf.
Yeah. And she has, by the way, she has other babies that are wolves. It's not just Fenrir. She had the lupine twins, whose name escaped me. Let me find them, because people will shout at me. And you'll have to bear with me, guys. I've had a really bad week for sleep. I've had no sleep for 4 days. So I can't remember Jack right now. So I'm going to find the names, and then they are in the video for everybody.
That's where I go.
So I will say, while I'm looking at this, because I can talk and read
for this.
You should have. That she has a really interesting Haiti and Skull, the lupine children of Fenrir. Those are the wolf babies.
And they have their own very interesting story.
Do you want to do that first?
They're the sun and the moon. I mean, like, they chase each other. Or they chase the sun and the moon, I believe. Am I remembering that correctly?
So there's a definite primal energy to all of this.
I think so, yeah.
There is an element of like a destructiveness and a creativeness. And when I was looking at Angrboda, the energy that really struck me was like she had this void birthing creation energy, this like big bang cosmic like energy. Like she took chaos and destruction, and it's very much like Kali or Lilith. And it's that dark goddess energy, which is like she can create primal energies and like give birth to cosmoses by herself. She has that kind of primal powerhouse of an energy to her. She's a mother, but it's not in like the placated way that we perceive mother in a lot of like modern myths and things, which is kind of a shame, really, because like the ancient way of looking at mothers is far more interesting to me, far more applicable to me as well. It's more real.
Yeah.
So
well, that's also after that whole soapbox of like patriarchal oppression and whatnot. Carry on.
Did you just say patriarchal repression into your coffee mug?
Yep. Because that would be a whole other. Yeah.
Yeah. And as a mother, she gives birth to children whom the rest of the world sees as being monstrous because they threaten the natural order of things.
Which is interesting
because they are
the natural order of things. Because
they
I think
are
they are the natural order of things.
Yeah. Ultimately, they perpetuate change, destructive change in a lot of cases. I mean, hell is less so, but like Fenrir and Jörmungand are like full on Ragnarok destruction, and obviously hell is death,
Aren't
which
they great?
We're afraid of. I find it really interesting, these energies, and they are demonized even to this day. This side of the pantheon is to this day demonized. And Random was saying wolves are the primal symbols of evil or darkness, again demonized. But don't forget, there's also snake energies in all of this as well. And I've been damn it. I'll be right back. I was going to put my thing on and I forgot. Right, Chris? Yes, I'm going to show you guys what I had on because just for this point, and I completely forgot to stick it on. So Chris, you need to entertain everybody for 5 minutes. This is super professional. I don't care. You guys need to see this, but yeah, I'll be back.
And how? You're all mine now. So how you doing? What's today like? No, serpents and wolves are definitely something that get demonized a lot. I mean, they still do. Look at all the hunting of wolves and everything, and everybody loses their mind. So it's death. Death is always the enemy. Right. Hi, Samantha. You accept dances? All right. Well, let's see here. What do I got? I got some like, and I got some Egyptian, right? This whole conversation is fascinating. Oh, well, I'm glad you're enjoying it, March Moon. Absolutely. I need to do like a wave. I'm not very good at the wave, though. I'm not wearing your shirt, Random. I'm wearing the store's shirt that I bought. You also bought it from the store. We can fight. No, you guys, I'm kidding. I love Random.
Okay.
Yes. What did you bring us?
La. No way. There we go.
Ooh. Are you clicking yourself up so they can see only you? Because my loud ass mouth will not stop talking. Okay.
There we go.
That's
Tall snakes around a downwards triangle with a little pyramid in. And it reminded me of the Jörmungand. It reminds me of like the Kundalini, the primal energies, and it reminded me about the story with the rains with the two snakes that was mentioned that could be Angrboda. So I had this whole plan to be like, yes, look, topical jewelry, and this means this, and now I've had to totally run off and come back again. 3 aspects to the human psyche: tearing down old ideas and rebirth, and the new. That's really interesting. From Gargoyle Mistress. Is that about the 3 babies? About Jormungandr, Hel, and Fenrir?
Yeah. Yeah, because there's been a lot of theories along those lines too with the 3 kids. I will say this, working with Hel, she's very, very close to her brothers.
Mm-hmm.
She is. So, like, to a degree, I almost feel like it'd be really difficult to work with her if you couldn't kind of see the other side of the story for her brothers. Because she's very sympathetic.
Mm-hmm. And there is, of course, this element of they represent things that people fear. And Angrboda has that kind of fear element to her, like this ferocity, this beyond fear. And when working with the energies of Angrboda, and this is particularly important for looking at things such as, you know, shadow work and whatnot, she invites us to go beyond fear, to go beyond that which we are afraid. I am going to say about the end of the world thing, I was reading the idea that it was actually the beginning. Like, it's not the end of the world in terms of the end of the world and that's it. It was supposed to be the idea of the end of the world as they knew it, and then the rebirth into a new world. So it's not like...
Be nodding so hard my head's going to fall off.
Yeah. So for me, it was interesting when looking at those energies particularly, and I'll talk about this more with the Jormungandr and those energies. I love it so much. I love it so much. There's something wrong with me, but never mind. Jormungandr! Everybody now, come on, hashtag Jormungandr. Just say it with me. It's so good to say.
Like all caps.
All caps. And for me, that was interesting because, again, that was like challenging order, like the way the world is structured right now. And Jormungandr was more about the breaking down of the world as it was into a rebirthing process, into a new world, into a new collective deity, maybe even. Maybe it was even supposed to be the rise of different foreign deities, or like... Your mouth doesn't move that way. Well, that's not what I heard, Random.
You know, oh.
Know what I'm saying? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Anyway, happy. Not the Hollywood end of the world, the natural end. Yeah, exactly. Not the Hollywood end of the world, not the blowing up of the world, but like a natural end of one cycle of things. Because Jormungandr is very much like Ouroboros when you think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody kind of merges it with like the apocalypse, the Hollywood thing, where it's like it blows up and then we're done and then there's nothing else. There is no other life, the end.
Yeah.
But like in the story, no, like there are definitely people left.
Yeah.
And then there are people born, and then it continues. Like it's not it's not like
yeah. So for me, the children of Angrboda, which is what we know the most about because of myth, kind of make up, if you think about it, at one point they were part of her and they birthed into the world. So you have Hel, who is a goddess of death, primarily. You have Fenrir, who is... would you say like Fenrir is like a primal sort of...
Fenrir is your instincts, your inner beast, quote unquote, the uncivilized part of you, if you will, I think.
The id.
Your instincts, yeah.
Yeah. And then Jormungandr is like end and change and
I kind of want to say it like the Swedish Chef. You know that yeah.
Jormungandr.
It's a puppet.
I'm going to read this out from Samantha. The puppet. The puppet. Progress. My grandmother said that she felt the 2012 end of the world was predicted was simply the end of a dominant masculine focus of energy and a return to feminine. It's really interesting.
My mother also will talk about that a lot. Yeah.
Well, if 2017 is going the way I feel like it's going, I think women are going to be rioting soon. So Angrboda's energy will come in handy. Whew. I need my cup of tea my cup of coffee. It's coffee. Sorry, I'm not English enough. It's a cup of tea, honest.
Bloom Smith, my family motto is, it's not Armageddon, it's the after party.
Oh. I like that a lot. That's awesome.
I don't know why, but I'm picturing, like, you know, the goth dances from South Park, like they're like in the after party of everything blown up, and they're just
So Angrboda embodies all of these energies to me. She embodies energies of death and change. And let's not forget that her husband, or at least her main mate, I love this mug too. It's so good.
Which one is it
Loki? It's the Dash of Magic one. This one.
Oh yes.
The big. It's actually my favorite mug now because it's got a really big, wide like top. So it's just amazing. I just love it.
Big top.
Yeah, I feel that. Anyway, right.
Yes.
So. Sorry, I've completely gone off topic. Right, so Angrboda.
You were talking about Loki being her mate.
And Loki is her mate. And Loki is a god of chaos and change. And, you know, I've had conversations on my channel. I've had conversations with Chris. I've had conversations with Asbjorn about him being like necessary change. And he gets like a bad rap. It's lies. It's complete and utter lies. That basically Loki gets kind of like a bad rap because he is doing things which is necessary for change. He's like pushing the pieces around on the board to institute change, and there is like a reluctance to change that you can see reflected with the Angrboda mythology and her children, because they all basically embody natural states of change. And their children and sort of following that thread, Angrboda, therefore all embody energies of necessary, like death cycles and rebirth cycles. And Loki does this too, because and you know, it's said, it's interesting to me that they're like, Loki brings about Ragnarok. It's like, Loki brings around Ragnarok. You mean Loki's babies bring around Ragnarok? There are two people involved in making babies, please.
They're all like, and my axe. Yeah.
So it's interesting to me that
Dad, you need some help. Here's all of the skeletons.
It's all of the dead people.
We'll make a boat of toenails and such. Well, it'll be great.
Yeah.
We'll win this war. Literally what hell does.
Yeah. Jem says, I've bookmarked the year 2011 to Loki. He ripped my life into pieces. In retrospect, I needed every part of that. Yeah. And that to me is very much where Angrboda's energies are as well. And that's like the coming together of them is really interesting to me, because in a lot of mythology, particularly Celtic mythology, which I'm more aware of, the coming together of like a masculine and feminine is more often like an imbalance. Like the two come together and make a balance. So the Morrigan mates with Dagda, and the Dagda is a giant. So it's like the reverse. And he's also considered a god, but it's a little bit wishy-washy on the details because, you know, mythology. But he's basically like life. You know, worshipping life, celebrating life. He's a little bit Pan-esque, but not quite. He's like a big, full-bellied, I love everything about life, you know. And he mates with the Morrigan, who has an energy of death. And when do they do this? Samhain, Halloween. And they mate at that point. And that to me is about the coming together of these two kind of like separate but not separate energies into one. Whereas with Angrboda and Loki, that line is much more blurred. The surface of it. I mean, you can blur the lines with Morrigan and saying, yes, but she has a life energy and a rebirth energy, so it's not just a death energy, is it, Joey? And I'm like, yes, I know that. I'm good. But with Loki and Angrboda, you can't even say it's like on any level, it's like the coming together of two separate energies because they're very similar in a lot of ways. They have kind of like this distinct way of doing things. And according to the mythology, Angrboda, according to the mythology, Loki was upset with the Aesir for rejecting him, and she apparently talked him up. She was like, "No, I feel you. I feel what you're selling. I think you're awesome. Come in my cave." You know,
I feel what you're selling. I think you're awesome. Only gruffer.
So, you know.
Come into my lair. Let's skin some stuff.
Yeah. So, and for me, Loki has a very sexual energy to him, which I don't like. Some people disagree and some people don't get that. But to me, I'm like, no, Loki has a definite sexual energy to him. He's getting his end away all over the place and having horse babies. I mean, come on. Like,
yeah, having horse babies.
And Angrboda. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Mythology.
And so it's not, you know, eight-legged horse babies. Loki has some strange children in all places.
Yeah.
It's not just this.
Well, he's a shifter. So it's,
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of cool, honestly. I think.
It is.
That he's a shifter that is able to have babies in other forms. It's like extended even to his lineage.
Shape-shifting sperm. You never know what you're going to get. Anyway.
The uber shapeshifter.
I kind of love that, though, because, again, that's chaos. The children and their physical forms and the defying expectations and then not being... Why is this jumping back and forth all over the place? It's driving me crazy. It keeps going back and forth, back, forth, back, forth. So... I just laugh at Gem.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go. Experience everything. Yeah. Experience everything. Say no to nothing. Try it once, and if you don't like it, fair enough. That's Loki. Yep. Maybe not. Maybe he would be like, well, you know, it might be worth a second go just to be sure. That might be Loki.
Yeah, because you know that that's a rule, and so we got to break that.
Exactly.
We'll see.
Yeah. So, Angrboda also has a very strong energy of sexuality.
I was going to talk about what Autumn and Random are saying. Do you see that?
Yes.
Because Autumn asked, well, isn't Loki the mother of someone? And Random's like, yeah, he's Sleipnir's mother, yeah. So, like, he wasn't even always the dad. That's also worth mentioning since we're talking about, like, breaking expectations and stuff. Like, he's like, yeah, no, you guys didn't know, but I got this womb. It's for horses.
Yeah, basically. He shapeshifted into a horse. Had a baby horse. Baby horse had 8 legs. Gifted the horse to Odin. So...
All right. Thanks
for
being
here, Random. Yeah, see you later, Random. With Angrboda, the energy feels very much like in complete control of herself. Like, in complete charge of her sexuality, and she liked what Loki was about. She liked his chaoticness. She liked that he was outside of the boundaries. And she, you know, according to the mythos that I had a read around, she kind of encouraged him to be more rebellious. And there's that energy of...
kind of one of her cores, isn't it? That willpower.
Yes. And it's interesting to me that she's like that. She's described as the hag. She's not ugly in anything that I've ever seen, but you know, hag is one of those words.
Used to mean a different thing too.
Yes, I was getting there. Never mind.
Sorry. I jumped. Carry on. Actually, yeah, go ahead.
Which once again, it shows us how language changes, like we were talking about earlier, and how she's off. She's disgusted. She's left. So it's interesting to me that she's the hag of the Ironwoods, And like that iron will is definitely something that comes into the energies of Angrboda and Shadow. And really standing for what you believe in, and really having a force, a power behind you, of self-belief. Even when everyone around you is calling you a monster, even when everyone around you is calling your children monsters, even though people don't see or appreciate or understand who you are as an energy, as an entity, as a being. And Angrboda, for me, really embodies that really, truly and strongly. And she truly is one of these dark, I don't like the term dark, but you guys know, goddess energies, very much akin to Lilith, very much akin to Kali, who is creation and destruction in one breath, and kind of working with her in terms of connection through realm energies. Fenrir, you've come to join us.
Roar.
I'm working with her in terms of meditation and personal interaction, which is really the bulk of both mine and Chris's experiences with Angrboda, is like a personal gnosis, an interactive meditation, feeling out the energies. That's what I was getting. I was getting like a primal goddess, a inverted commas dark goddess, a strength, a creative and destructive energy, very much so. And she's immovable.
I actually stopped and told her before we started doing all this. I was like, look, just so you know, like the bulk of my experience with her is like intuitive stuff. It's traveling. It's like, I mean, I've read about her, but the most of my experiences are running into her energy, and it's big and it don't give a fuck.
It's immovable as well. It really has that immovable energy, like, no, you move.
Oh, she's kind of like a mountain. Like, I will not be moved regardless. Like, I am ancient, I am here, and you will keep me raw as is, because you won't be able to shape me into anything else.
Yeah, immovable, 100%. So do you want to just describe some of your experiences with her beyond that, and then I'll describe my experience with her with the realm candle and things?
Yeah. So when I was first learning about hell and everything, I knew that she had a really close connection with her brothers. I can't. There we go. I knew that she had a really close connection with her brothers. And so I was looking up on them, and that kind of led me into Angrboda. But the energy was already there. It's kind of like she precedes them, personally. Like anytime you work with any of them, it's like she's hovering in the background, like a bouncer. Like, what's your business? Like, what are you doing here? What's this for? Like, what do you need them? So I was like, all right, well, I guess I gotta kind of try to get to know her then. Otherwise, I'm gonna be looned over this whole time. So I went to it was kind of this cave, and I guess you could say it was in the Ironwoods. That's what I assumed to be the Ironwoods, what I felt like it was. And she's a huntress. I mean, that's another thing that doesn't get mentioned a lot, I think, is that she is, I mean, she's out there, you know, killing for food and scraping
wearing the furs.
hides. Yeah, exactly. And all of her wolves she takes care of, you know, because even though they mention Haiti Skull, she has many, at least when I went there. It was like the wolves of the forest, basically. And she's really wise, but you have to kind of prove yourself to her for her to say anything.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like and it's that willpower thing that you were talking about. She's gonna kind of like see how much you can take, like how much of a warrior, quote unquote, you are, of like truth, maybe your realness, or you know, because it might not even be like warrior like battle necessarily, but are you able to?
I don't even think most of the time it is battle for me. Like with how the Morrigan battle energy, it's much more of a survival warrior energy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah, because it's not like, well, suit up. You know what I mean? Like there's none of that, but it is kind of like, how much can you take?
Mm-hmm.
How much are you willing to take?
Mm-hmm. And that would be her shadow lessons. When we're talking about working with these goddesses in terms of shadow work, for me, she's one of these goddesses that has her fingertips on the primal live wire. Like, do you know?
Oh yeah.
It's a different energy to certain dark, if you want to call them that, but I hate that term, but goddesses, and you can feel the difference. Like, they feel that they have their finger on the live wire of this primal energy, and there's something much more about what it takes to survive, and they're much closer to the natural elements as well. And it's interesting to me how these goddesses somehow feel that they are instinctually closer to the way that the world is created and the world is, and like the underlying energies within the world, which ties back to chaos and rebirth and destruction again.
Yeah.
But she very much feels like that she understands the ways of men before men were civilized, is what I'm getting.
Well,
like,
that's why
directly
she
just
live out
getting
there.
that. Yeah. And
because she could go live in a city.
She doesn't want to.
Exactly.
I don't
she
think
doesn't want
she
to.
would.
She could. She doesn't want to.
Oh yeah, I mean, she could if she wanted to, but
I think that's also why there's kind of a threat to go into the Ironwoods, if you will, is because it's an extension of her challenge of like, will you be able to make it? Can you deal with this? Can you handle that?
Mm.
I don't think you can handle that. See, she's like Beyonce.
I don't think you can handle that.
No. She's not.
she has this energy of remember where you came from, in terms of where you came from as a humanity, as like people. It's like, I remember when human beings were living close to the land, when they were hunting, when they were gathering, when life was kind of simpler, rawer, more primal, and less kind of people living in boxes. She's kind of like the anti-civilization goddess in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, she's the off the gritter.
Oh yeah. And it's very much about getting back in touch with these energies, which are so left field now. Like, we talk about the energies of being a wild woman and getting back to the wild essence, and then for a lot of us are like, how, or wild man, it's just wild woman is a power trigger word or whatever, and a lot of us then get to the point of like, okay, but how on earth do we do that when we live in a world which is kind of anti us doing that? Because that is getting back in touch with the archetype of the witch, the archetype of the hunter, the archetype of like yesteryear, when people were living closer with the rhythms of the land, rather than kind of like this over sanitized world we live in now. I know we do. We need like veiled goddess or like, I don't know, primal goddess.
I tend to be rather fond of chthonic, which is definitely a Greek term, but it usually refers to those who are underneath the earth. And so it's like a buried or a hidden kind of sense. I don't know. But a lot of people don't normally know what the hell that means. So then I have to explain it. So it kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah. Well, unless the purpose is getting that word out there, in which case you...
That's true. In that case, chthonic.
It sounds like a rap song.
Hecate is very often referred to as chthonic.
And because we live in this world which is so sanitized, shadowed is a good one. Shadow goddesses. I could go with that. I feel that you're selling. Anyway, and because we live in the world which is sanitized, and we live in boxes for the most part, and nature is somewhere that we go rather than it being part of us. And and camping is something that we do. And going out to the mountains or going hiking or going rock climbing or whatever it might be is an action we perform, and then we come home again, rather than being connected. And so there is this disconnect in society from a lot of the way the world is. And I find it comes and kind of like pops up in the weirdest ways. Somebody had shared something, I think it was yesterday, and it was talking about the fact that, you know, trees and plants have memory. And I was like, well, witches have been telling you this. Like, and spiritual practitioners have been like, we've been saying this. Like,
thanks for joining, friend.
Yeah.
Come in, have a cookie.
Yeah. I like dark when it's used in the literal sense. It's dark at night, but not bad. It just is, JD. Exactly. And to be honest, Chris and I love like dark, inverted commas stuff. But
yeah,
like
we do.
nighttime
We totally
and shadow stuff. It's just that I find that the word is kind of like limiting for what these goddesses are.
You know what? I think what it is it's more of a reclaiming that needs to happen, because it's not the word's fault. It's the connotation behind the word, which everybody thinks of as dark equal bad because of that stuff. So technically it's not even the word dark.
We could do that. We could try and reclaim dark.
Yeah.
Might be a thing to do. So for me, Angrboda is very much about lessons of who we think we are. And like, oh, you think this is who you are in your boxes
It's
with
that
your
big stuff.
this thing. But what happens when things get tight and difficult and painful and not civilized? What happens then?
Who are you really?
That's what when it comes down to the wire and you're fighting for your life, who are you? That's an Angrboda style lesson. And
oh yeah,
to be honest, I love Angrboda's energy, and it's
I
not
do
a million. Go for it.
I'm so disappointed that people don't give her more love. Like, as soon as you said, "Oh, I'm thinking of doing the Angrboda thing," I was like, "What?" Like, if I didn't have to clean up all the papers on my desk right now, I would just throw them. But that's working. I don't want to. So no, I love her energy, and I don't understand why people don't dig into her more.
Well,
like, it's fascinating. No, because that should make you want to even more. That's something that is missing.
Yes, and I agree, but it's no use us having this conversation, because we're like, yes, if something's missing, then we need to go. But in general, people are afraid of confronting the shadow that Angrboda represents, because
they're afraid to talk about death too when I do that. So just do the damn thing. Let's go, Angrboda.
Well, we've been here for an hour and a quarter. Well, not actually. We've probably been here about an hour now because we were late.
And we have added an hour worth into it then.
Yeah. So we are. We're here. We're doing it. Yeah. So she definitely has a powerful energy to her. Now, I'm not going to say that she is necessarily female-only energy, though, because she has her sons. And she, as much as we can talk about feminine empowerment and things, I have this feeling like as much as she is immovable, she has shifter energies to me as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like this is something that Angrboda would not be on the surface about. Like, she wouldn't present herself as a shapeshifter right off. You'd have to
hunters have to adjust. For that. Hunters have to adjust quickly when it's least expected.
Mm-hmm. I have a feeling that Angrboda has a wolf form. Saying. So there's that, and there's that. Like, I feel like she hunts as a wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an energy that I have felt. I can't say this is in the mythology because it's not. No. But this is something for personal gnosis and meditation and conduiting that I feel is so. I just feels right to me.
Yes, happy Friday the 13th. Bloom. Just realized. Yes. Not only is it Friday the 13th, it's October Friday the 13th. So as I said before, it's like double Halloween.
Double Halloween. Double Halloween, double Halloween, double, Toil and Trouble. Anyway, Amaryllis says modern society has a massive fear of that primal energy and mix that with divine feminine, and people are generally out. I think there's I think there's a real divide right now, because I think there is a rising awareness and people going back to divine feminine and that kind of thing, and then there are the people who are more vocally resisting it. Like, I feel like there's this push-pull thing in society right now, and I think like the more that kind of like the divine feminine and awareness of the divine feminine rises, because paganism is still on the rise, and then you have those that are resistant to it.
I would say that it's less of a rising and more of a merging with the rest of feminine energy that has been put on display. It's more of a wholeness equaling out. Because, I mean, there are different kinds of wild that are being known too. Not just like the dark. You know what I mean? Well, I get what you're saying, but then that also then made me go, is it just rising to take over, or is it like a merging of... Anyway.
Oh, well, rising to me isn't necessarily taking over of what's already there, but rather an awakening within what already exists.
Yeah.
It's not... I definitely think there is a resistance element to it, and then those that would take rights away from women and so on and so forth. And men, but you know, it's not just women versus men, and I don't want it to get down that road. But like, human rights is under assault in a lot of the world. And then there are people standing up for and marching for and fighting back for human rights and civil rights and things of that. I don't know about the awareness of paganism. People have been fairly aware of it my entire lifetime. It's obviously a lot more, people are a lot more aware of it than they were in, say, like the 60s or the 70s. But I
think what Marshman may be referring to, though, is like the mainstream movement that's happening where like witch is trendy. So now people are looking into things and they're going, oh, yeah, tarot, sure. You know, things like that. Oh, that crystal's cool.
I remember that happening when I was a teenager and the craft was around, though, and things like that, because it kind of ebbs and flows for me. It's like witches and things. I think there may be more of an accepted kind of mystic energy, a mystic archetype that's more, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a witch, and it can be those, you know, how you have people aware of like tarot readers on a much more grand scale, or people involved with crystals, and it's not necessarily the witch archetype, but it's kind of like the metaphysical. I think people are a lot more aware of that, and that's much more of a mainstream thing now.
Yeah.
Wayward Wildfire, I feel like people feel like equality is taking something from them, so they want to push it down and call it foul. Jill, I think it's a matter of accessibility more than acceptance.
She says because we're much more connected now, so like internet and such, I assume.
I wonder how much of it is going from a private platform to a public platform. Like, a lot of the information that you used to be able to get on paganism was much more of a private realm, and you could access it, but it was private. Down and oracular and things. Whereas now you do have that, but there seems to be less of that. That tends to get lost, whereas there is more of a mainstream public accessibility, which has pros and cons, which we've discussed at length, and we continue to discuss with things being highly visual. So there is that. But I shall loop right round to Angrboda. We shall loop back, and I will give you a 10-minute warning if you guys want to ask any questions about anything that we have covered today. So what would you think, Chris, about shadow lessons from Angrboda?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head with the word survival. So I think there's definitely a regardless what comes, I will endure. And not only will I endure, I'll take it by its head. You know what I mean? Like, there's a knowing of one's strength there. So I guess the shadow lesson would be learning to be fierce, strong against all odds, that you will endure regardless. Which her daughter takes after her very much on that. That's very similar lessons.
Absolutely. I think there's a strength in reevaluating what we perceive to be monsters. Because often she and her children are described as monsters or monstrous. And it is, again, that fear. And a lot of shadow work is...
The heck was that?
A load of noise going on. It's outside the window, apparently. I was like, what on earth was that? So a lot of shadow work is fear-based. And reevaluating our perception on what we think to be monstrous is an interesting personal perception. It's shifting our perception from what we think good and bad means, which is one of the most difficult... Yeah, it's one of the most difficult initial shadow lessons that we come into contact with, because it means seeing outside of our own experiences. It means understanding, or at least lending empathy to those outside of our personal experiences. And this can come about in all kinds of crazy ways, because we talked about the idea of the foreigner earlier, with regards to who the gods were and who the giants were. Well, people outside of ourselves, we can all consider all people outside of ourselves a little bit of a foreigner, because they're not island, if you like. So then reaching out and understanding to people who are different, people from different walks of life, and rather than judging people for that, or rather than condoning people for that, rather than to lend an understanding to the interconnectedness of all things and all people. And so that to me is one of them. We've covered the kind of the survival and immovable and kind of sovereign energy that she definitely has, because she's not afraid of herself, but she also lives on the outskirts. And I think there is a real interesting shadow work energy of learning to accept yourself. And it doesn't matter if you... Yeah. And to basically live outside of the norm, live outside of the accepted box, live outside of what other people are telling you to be true. Angrboda kind of looks at that and is like, what do you believe? What is right to you? How do you survive? Because if you don't get down with your truth, you can't survive. Because if you can't get on board with who you are, you will not survive. You will be a doormat for someone else at best, or you will die from constantly trying to be a people pleaser, because it just saps everything out of you and you fall down and you're not getting up from that, because that's not wolf. That's not wolf. That's not primal. That's not baby. It's just living for other people and being a doormat. So for me, she has this outside of expectation, outside of accepted social norm, outside of convention energy to her that makes us realize that we can be who we are. Stop being who you were told to be, kind of thing. Like, be who you are, not who you're told to be.
Yeah.
That kind of shadow work. I also believe people are searching for answers, hope and direction given the state of the world that can turn them towards out of the box means to get that. And we're all about out of the box here at Fluxy Channel, Fluxy Radio. Get out of your box.
Yeah, thing that I threw in the trash like months ago.
Yeah, no box. No box. Amaryllis has a question. As does Gargoyle Mistress, which I've just noticed. I'm sorry. I'll do Amaryllis first and loop back. I have a question. How do you know when you are being called to work with an energy, especially if they are obscure and the ego fights it? If the ego is fighting it, that's a surefire sign.
Yeah.
Right there. I think the question in of itself highlights a self-doubt for what you're being taught or what you're being told or what you're feeling. And that, to me, it suggests that you already have an inkling of what's going on. You already have an inkling of what's calling you, just that you feel a little bit resistant because you're kind of doubting yourself or doubting the message or doubting your ability to perceive the message. And it's a self-doubt thing within that question for me. And so when people feel like, how do you know? And I'm like, well, do we truly ever know anything?
Yeah.
And does it matter?
Yeah.
What matters to me is the journey, the investigation, the seek. The hunt, says Angrboda.
Yes.
I just had this boom of the hunt. Like, whoa, okay. So that to me is how I would answer that. Chris?
Yeah. How do you know when you're being called to work with an energy, especially if they are obscure and the ego fights it? So first of all, if they're obscure, that really shouldn't have anything to do with it, because everything is always accessible.
Well, oh.
What? What? Can you hear me?
Are you back with us? You froze up for like a good 5 minutes. And then I had a garble of... That was weird.
Oh, okay. Well, am I back now?
Okay. Good?
I think. Am I good?
Okay, I think... Yeah, you are now. It froze up for a little while. I didn't hear you.
No, my bad. Okay, so I was going to say, if they're obscure, and I'm assuming you mean like they're hard to find things on, that really isn't that isn't a roadblock. You're perceiving it as that, because everything is always accessible. And when you're working with things like goddesses and such, you just ask them, just go to them, light a candle for them, talk to them, whatever, but feel their energy. Yeah,
it's not a detriment if they're not in all the myth, because it means that you are freer to explore your perception.
Yes. And many times with goddesses that are obscure, it is that way for a reason, which I will talk about in the See You in Hell series that I'm doing. Heads up, the first episode comes out on Saturday. But just saying. But I think they do it on purpose because they want you to look past and see what's unseen. They're asking you to trust yourself enough to look further.
And Gargoyle asked, living along society but not within the idealized society, question mark. Yeah, I mean, it's not always, maybe not even often, a readily available or accessible thing to be able to live away from society. And I know in America they make it even harder for you to go off grid than they do here. Like, you're not allowed to collect rainwater.
I keep trying, but they keep pulling me back.
Yeah. So for a lot of us, we have to live among society. And really, the way that we are not living along the idealized society is by example. And what that means to us is going to be different from individual to individual. How we live with and treat the earth, how we talk, how we interact with other people, how we stick up for each other, how we witch, I don't know. It can mean all sorts of different things to different people. And ultimately, it's all about perspective. Anyway, it's all highly individualized. So it really is about personal accountability. You can't see Chris. Can anyone else not see Chris? Oh,
how about now?
You did disappear for a minute and then came back.
I just turned it off and brought it back to see if maybe that helped.
Okay. Yeah. So Jeffrey's son has a question back to our giants gods. Isn't Ymir the first giant, the grandfather of Odin? So how is Odin a god if he is a descendant of the giant and then they're separate?
Well, that goes back to what I said earlier about you can clearly be both. Hel is both. She's referred to as a goddess and she's referred to as a giantess.
Can anyone else not see Chris right now?
Am I selected? Or unselected? Are you selected?
I wonder if it's done it because you turn your camera on and off.
I don't know.
How
Well,
about
no,
that?
because they said that before I cut it on and off.
Right, that's flicking properly.
You can hear me, but can't see me.
Can't see you.
No,
Can't see her.
No.
Oh, that's
no.
weird because I can see you. Oh
Yeah.
dear.
That is weird. Here, I tell you what. You go right on talking, lady, and I'll be right back.
Oh, wait. Someone says
Oh.
they can see you again.
Oh.
It sorted
Okay.
itself.
I think chat is lagging a little bit. Okay, I'm back. They see me.
All right.
They love me. They really, really love me. Okay.
Now you wish you didn't.
Yay.
Whoa.
Okay. Gone again. Not cool, webcam. Not cool.
So JD said, in addition to the comment about Odin and Ymir, the frost giant stuff that's been talked about makes me think of today xenophobia. Like, you can't be gods, you're foreigners. So yeah, we talked about that. If is that right, that Ymir was the first giant?
Yeah.
People don't see you again.
I mean, yeah, that's why I'm sorry.
Gone
I'm
again.
trying to pay attention, but I'm also like, don't you? I don't know anymore. I'm just gonna go out and come back in. But yes.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. She's gonna pop back out and pop back in, and hopefully that will fix it, guys. So sorry about that. So, right. Has that fixed it? Can we now see Chris?
I hope so. We'll find out. I am mysterious. No, I'm really not. I'm pretty much an open book.
Okay, people can see you now. Okay, good.
Good. Carry on.
God. Oh God. So is that accurate from the is that accurate from the myth that Ymir is described as the first giant?
Yeah, he is.
So if he's Odin's grandfather, then everybody's interconnected. So it's.
I mean, there was what is it, Gungan Up, and like the beginning creation story of how like things collided. It was essentially fire and ice, and then like a lot of people say that it's a damn it, like a Big Bang overlay
Big Bang?
too, because of what happened. I'm just saying. No, that's a phrase. It does sound funny now when you say it like that, though.
Well,
like the theory on how we got the Earth and like everything exploded and then ta-da, life, essentially.
Big Bang.
Yeah. Big Bang.
Big Bang.
That's what I said. Why you keep responding like, oh yeah, that thing. What is that thing?
That thing. Anyway, so yeah, so to me that kind of helps back up the idea that they are all gods. It's just that some of them get called giants because they're not in favor gods. Like, they're foreigners. They're representative of foreigners. Xenophobia going on. Who knows? That feels like that might be the case to me. And boobs, balls, now bangs, only on this channel. You're welcome. You're welcome, Gargoyle Mistress.
That's a good one.
You're welcome. Boobs, balls, now bangs, only on this channel. Get your gear here. I should start an advert like that. That would be hilarious. Come get your boobs. Come get your bangs. Come get your balls.
You need the saloon skirt for it, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about the saloon stuff because you know, selling stuff makes us a whole. Anyway. So, taking questions. Any questions? Are there any questions on Angrboda, Shadows of Angrboda, the kind of Nordic death and rebirth energies, the mother of kind of chaos? That kind of thing. Or in general, you can ask us any questions you want. If there are random general questions, you can, of course, ask those chatty chat. We don't mind. We don't mind.
Balls, bangs.
But boobs and balls and bangs. Boobs and balls and boobs and balls and boobs and balls and bang and boobs. Is there any way to read more on her, Angrboda, or her myth that's what's already out there?
I mean, first of all, we have the internet. That's got a plethora of things. Some of them are horrible. Some of them are great. It's sort through.
The internet will offer you things about personal gnosis, for the most part.
Yes. Yes.
She's in the Norse sagas with regards to her children. I'm trying to see if there is an actual which poetic Edda it's in or anything like that. I can't see it right now. No, this doesn't have the exact Edda listed.
Apparently, Boobs, Balls, and Bangs is our intermission song now.
Oh, done. But the Nordic mythology that has survived does have her birthing Loki's kids myth in the mythology, but
there's not a whole lot
again.
Her
No, she's very, very obscure in terms of the mythology, which is we've been talking about it and touching on it and why it's a personal gnosis kind of video for the most part. It's exactly because there isn't much mythology. So personal exploration, it can be a difficult thing to really delve into because you feel like, it can, honestly, I understand the hesitation that people have of what if I am perceiving something wrong? What if I am getting it wrong? But really,
then you'll be proven otherwise when you get there.
Yeah. So Amaryllis says, I'm interested to hear more about her hunter and primal energies. Well, in terms of what I've experienced and what Chris has experienced, again, this is a personal gnosis kind of thing. And for me, it's that when first presented with her in her cave with her fire that she was tending, she had furs on the walls and she was wearing furs and she had meats that she killed and was cooking and she had a spit. And the minute that I saw her with meat and a spit was like, oh, goodness, here we go, because that's a bathe thing. Meat on a spit is a bathe thing. So I was like, correlations of threads. I see you. And she has this kind of like, it's a very bizarre feeling to like, she could tell you hunting stories or hunting songs if she felt like it. That kind of like, she does have a little over feel to her. I could see that.
Kind of, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I could see that correlation. I would say she's sassier.
Grittier.
Yeah. She'd just as soon kill you as fuck you, basically. I mean, there's a very like from the hip kind of thing about her.
March Moon asks, how would you suggest approaching her or asking her energy to come to you? Well, I created a product all for this. So just to sell it. But this is how I created a product for, you can buy my product with the sigil on it if you want to do it. However, if you really don't, the idea behind me going into the realms for me was very much about entering a meditative state to transfer me into the realms, particularly the Nordic realms. It's just something which I was playing with. I'm going to be doing it for other realms as well, of course. But, and that was really for me about creating an energy portal into a different realm, because the idea of the Nordic realms is that they're places, they're different places where different gods reside or creatures reside and things. There's an interconnected. Yes.
I mean, go ahead, Joey. Finish your thought, and then I'll ask it. Sorry.
There is an interconnectedness between all things because of the Yggdrasil and how everything is interwoven in energies anyway. So they're not like separate. And for me, traveling into those realms is following those energy connections into a visualization of the energies that I'm seeking. So when I'm seeking and conduiting, which is fairly natural for me, and it's a very difficult thing for me to explain to other people, it's kind of like following that thread. Like, I know where this energy thread is, and I just believe I know where it's going, so I follow it. In terms of like it's like going down the stairs or down into the lake or down into that energy, and then arriving at the destination where you know, and it all opens up. It's a very natural process for me, though it might be more difficult for other people. I'm not sure, because I can only really speak to my experience with it. Go on then. What was your question?
Oh, well, one second. Okay, so Amaryllis, I've written it down next to me. Amaryllis, I've worked with you before, so I will say that you just need to act. Just pick something. Because you're trying to look at all of it and then make a choice, and what you need to do is just listen to the choice that's calling. You're doing like peanut gallery. Don't peanut gallery.
Yeah.
Be like, this
you could always visualize
right,
it like loads. Yeah. If it helps, visualize it as doors. Pick a door, go through it, work in that room.
Just pick one.
It's not really a room, but yeah. So
it's not, you can go back out the door and pick another one. Like, just pick one.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is I'm interested in your viewpoint on this, because I see some people like kind of comparing her to a crone. And while I get a crone vibe from her, she doesn't come up straight crone for me.
No.
She actually comes up as like a 40, 50-year-old woman. Ish. And don't get me wrong, I think that there's also shifter there. But for me, she's definitely like middle-aged. More so.
I would have said more 40s than anything, but she's a powerhouse. Like she's a powerhouse, and she's in her power. She's in her element. She's like. It's not that Crone energy cannot be like forceful or venomous, because it can. But you know how
Hell comes up as a maiden, but she's also got a lot of Crone energy and a mother and stuff aspects.
Yeah, I mean, Babe shows up as a very young, youthful, sexual woman, and then sometimes she shows up as a more middle-aged sexual woman, and then sometimes it's full-on death, decaying Crone energy. So that's shapeshifted more than anything.
But in terms of,
it's not. She tends to come across like 40s is what I would say. Like, and it's a very much like 40s, but 40s in the wilderness. Like she works, like she's constantly working out. She's and not working out like going to the gym, but like huntress in the wild.
She's always active. Yeah.
The image that comes to mind for me is the wise woman that teaches Vanessa Ives in Penny Dreadful. I don't know why. I definitely get that vibe, that no nonsense, this is how things are kind of vibe, but I would go slightly younger than the woman in terms of visual representation.
And that's why I was like, I don't know about La Loba, because La Loba to me is Crone, like as you would normally see her, at least when I tap into that. Because I do love La Loba. But I actually find Angrboda, even though she is as intense and strong, and she definitely has that like Crone kind of vibe, I actually find her to be more like middle-aged. When I at least
I agree.
have spoken to her. I mean, she's rough and tumble. She's, quote unquote, rode hard, put away wet kind of thing. You know what I mean? But like, she's definitely more, I guess, when you have the 4 stages, more of a queen, if you will, than the Crone.
Yeah.
Because there are like the 4 stages, like maiden, mother, queen, Crone. I would say she's that middle point where she's more of queen.
Like she's had her babies, her babies are grown, but she's not Crone yet. That kind of thing.
Yeah. So it was interesting to see like if she came up around that same area for you.
Yeah. And ending the mother raising, but still in prime, so to speak. Gargoyle mistress. Yeah. She's got grown babies, but she's not in cronehood yet. That kind of, and she's so fierce and so ferocious and so unmoving. Crone energies, for me, they tend to be a little bit more fluxy. They tend to be a little bit more meandery. Depends on the crone. Some of them are more meandery than others. And for me, Angrboda isn't at that meandery stage yet. She's like no. She's like mountain-esque. She's fierce and ferocious and on board and still very protective and primal and baby and still very sexual. Like that's like a main thing. Like Chris was like said earlier, she's just as likely to kill you as fuck you, and that seems to be on
so true. I'm like, I didn't want to say it at first because I'm like, this is not going to make them approach you easier. You know that, right? But like, it's true.
Yeah, and that's at the fore of her thinking kind of thing as well. That's kind of like right on the surface of her energy, like very sexual and very primal and very dangerous to know.
I also happen to see her, and again, these are just like our versions of how we see her, so she may come differently to others. But I also usually see her as a very strongly built woman. Definitely broader. And very solid. Muscular. She's not like a muscle builder, but she is
like a lithe muscle. Not like a bumped muscle, but like a muscle, like a lupine.
Yeah. Yeah, like she's
like a big wolf.
Yeah. And she's broad. She's got a broad shoulder to her and heavy feet when she walks. Very like, you know,
oh. You know, like the warrior from Diablo. If it's anyone know about
from Diablo. Yes. Exactly. Yes.
If anyone knows. People may not know if that's a gaming reference, but that kind of if you search up female warrior or female barbarian from Diablo.
What was her name? Aveline from Dragon Age. That build.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
My notes are full of Chris-isms. Oh boy.
I hope there's some balls and butts in there too. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. She to me, she often comes and she has scars as well. She's one of the first goddesses where she like wears her scars like armor. Like
she like picks her nails with a buck knife, you know, like that. Yeah, she doesn't care.
Yeah, Brienne of Tarth in build. Yeah. And when I saw her, she had fangs around her neck as well. She had like fangs on a necklace kind of thing, and it was and she wears pelts and things, and she has that kind of bone goddess energy to her, like that primal energy of this is what makes life, and I wear life, and I decorate myself in life and death,
and I take life as I see fit.
Yeah,
there's also an element of that.
Yeah.
To continue the life of others. Including myself. Because that's another thing too. There's I am worthy and I claim this for me. And there's no shame in that. Or she's like, no, this is mine because I am owed it and I will take it as I see fit.
Yep.
Very not, oh, well, you know, it's for everyone. No, this is mine. Because I have earned it.
This is my shit. This is my pack. This is my cave. This is my pelt. Get the fuck out. If you haven't earned it, there's also this. If you haven't earned it, get the hell out. Like get the hell out of Dodge. If you haven't earned it, especially if you think you're owed, but you haven't earned it. That was like Angrboda crime 101 kind of thing. Like,
it kind of reminds me of the lesson with who was it? Was it Baba? Where there was the two girls in the nursery rhyme, and one is like a really hard worker, and the other one's kind of spoiled, and so she expects everything, and lazier, so she doesn't get anything. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Oh, hopefully you guys know out there. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like an old Grimm story.
Oh, okay.
Grimm's fairy tale. And there's like a hag that they go to. Which goddess was it? I'm brain farting. There you go. There's a criticism. Brain farting. I don't know. But she was very much a... Wait, no. Was it Hulda? I think it's Frau Hulda or Hulda, because they like run in.
Oh, no. Yeah, that might be right. That sounds right.
Yes.
I knew.
Yeah. So basically it's like, lazy children. You will work for what is yours. And she doesn't do lazy very well. Or like entitled. Because she will go, oh really? What are you entitled to? Show your worth.
It is in fact Grimm, Frau Holle, a widow had two daughters. One was beautiful and industrious, the other ugly and lazy.
Yes. So that would be another
how things are,
example of like Angrboda's kind of morals, if you will. I say loosely.
I get the feeling that there's like a blood and bone price as well from Angrboda. Like there's with a lot of these goddesses, and Morrigan does this as well. Like there's a blood price. And there's a blood, sweat, and tears kind of price, and there's like a sacrifice price, and there's a bone price.
Every time I hurt myself now, I'm like, what am I paying for? What is this offering for this time?
Yeah. And bone price would be not necessarily hurting your bones, although it could be like a literal bone crack kind of scenario, but it could just be like embracing a kind of personal death, the death cycles that we've talked about, because she does embody and has given birth to elements of change and natural rebirth and death processes. So for me, there is an energy of you can't be like, I don't want to change and I'm never going to change and I'm not on board with this and I'm not doing the work and blah, blah, blah. Because if you go to Angrboda with that, you're going to get smacked. So yeah. If you can even find her.
Jill says, I think deity reaches out to us through fictional characters in art. Yeah.
So do I. It's not a popular opinion in some circles, but I honestly feel like the evolution of gods kind of gets to us through perception, because if we perceive things a certain way and something resonates with us and we're like, you know what, this art really reminds me of the Morrigan, and there's something really about it, and it kind of opens me up to possibilities a bit, gets me in a meditative state a little bit. That to me is priceless kind of interaction with art and fictional characters. So archetypes as well, of course, the importance of archetypes.
All right, so guys, are there any questions? We're in like the last few minutes of things. Any questions?
Yeah, in the final few minutes.
Whether about Angrboda or anything else we discussed or things we have not?
Have you checked out Hellblade: Senuna's Sacrifice? I love the atmosphere in that game.
I haven't, but I've seen a lot of the images come up when searching for things.
It's ringing a bell.
Yes.
But for the Hellblade stuff, but I'm not 100%. Oh, this is what happens when you haven't slept for 3 days.
I've not played it, but I've seen images of it, definitely. All right, so Random's asking questions because she's like the best.
Yeah, go for it while I look.
Ask her.
Ooh!
What? Ooh.
I have not seen this image, but I really like the images that are coming to. I shall go have a look at those later.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That's very Celtic. with the blue face paint. I'm feeling that. It's kind of Hell Cappy as well, actually. Anyway, so Random has asked...
So, how do you connect to her?
Oh, well, I kind of did that a minute ago, but I should do it again. You can buy a Portal Realm candle from Joey Morris at Starry Eyed Supplies. It comes with your own sigil, so you can get into a meditative state. Or failing that, basically, you go looking on for the connectivity between realms is how I describe it. So I start off with a Yggdrasil, I go down into the roots, I follow the energy system through that. I know where I'm going, so I'm going there, and I don't doubt myself, and I trust in my ability to find the realm which I am seeking and calling out for, and I allow myself to be transported where I want to go. Now, before I do that, I tend to do some travel work, some prep work, some reaching out on an energetic level, and that might be as simple as lighting a candle, talking to her energies, sort of verbalizing, whether it be internally or externally, my intention to address said god or goddess.
Okay.
Because that's more respectful.
Yes.
Yes, go for it.
So, you hit on like the key one that I do, Joey. Before I actually like travel to make it easier to find that, or make it easier for me to believe that I can find it more so, I will normally talk to the energy of them. Even if they're not answering back, I'm going to talk to them. If I'm, and then I will do things like I might play music that I think that they might like. Things that are not only going to get me in that kind of energy, but it's also going to be like in celebration of that energy of her. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So like, for instance, Dorothy might be really good for Angrboda, I feel. They've got a little bit of that.
I've got Chris hooked.
Yeah.
We've got Chris hooked on Dorothy.
To be fair, I knew about it before you. But then you showed me other things, and I was like, oh, damn. I'm done. So, yeah, because it was on a Southern Gothic playlist that I adore on Spotify. But, yeah, so, I don't think there's one. Hold on.
I can't hear anything my end either, so that's a bit spooky.
Nope. So there you go.
That's spooky Friday the 13th shenanigans. There you go.
Yeah. But no, so I would get myself into that mood and then celebrate them by doing that, by honoring them and kind of feeling that vibe. So maybe look up some wolves, maybe get into survival videos and things. Look up stuff like that. Just kind of like
if you could like tangibly rub your fingers on fur or faux fur if you don't have actual fur. Like make it a tan, because for me she's a very tactile kind of goddess, so that kind of touching feeling.
Plant some stuff, cut something, whittle, like, you know what I mean? Like, get your hands dirty, move your hips, act. She's a very like action person, yeah.
So what I will say to March Moon is I want to be respectful as possible, but that means different things when approaching different deities. The correlation between contacting different deities is still you, and your intention of respect echoes out into the universe. Intention and the way that you set your energy when addressing is noted far more than anything else. Like you can get like correspondences, inverted commas, is completely wrong, but if your intention was good, then you're more likely to get a really good response than if you got all the perfect correlations, but then you went in there with an attitude of give me what I want. Like intention and like personal setting of energy is really important.
Yeah. No, I agree. And Melanie, this is a hood. It's a wolf scarf hood thing. And thanks.
And this lipstick, for anybody who's interested, is Pretty Zombie 3 Witches. and I'm in love with the Pretty Zombie stuff because it's amazing. Amazing. I think we should wrap up then. Have you got anything you would like to announce?
Did we answer all of the stuff? Are there any offerings for her?
So.
Is there a way to honor her? Yeah, so we pretty much answered that in that. I think offerings of like action and
meat.
Just energy. Yeah, meat. She would like that for things. Fire. Yeah. Maybe bring things to the woods for her animals.
This is Three Witches, and hang on, let me just click on me for a minute.
Yeah,
this is Three Witches, and the brand is Pretty Zombie Cosmetics. It's not great on focusing, but there you go.
That's fine, pretty. No, the brand name is Pretty Zombie, but the color is Three Witches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty Zombie has a lot of really nice lipsticks.
They're releasing a Beetlejuice and I need them.
About them.
But also they're vegan and the lip brand cruelty free, but they go on the best liquid lips I've ever had. Like, you don't necessarily need a liner with them, and I can't say that about any other liquid lip that I've ever tried. So, in a side note. So, would you like to do some advertising?
Yes. So, guys, if you don't know, today is the very last day to get 44% off of my Ancestral 101 e-course. And then let's see here. So the Hell video, the first episode of that, will be up tomorrow around 10 a.m. Eastern time. So keep an eye out on my Facebook for the link to that. What else? Let's see. As always, I have Ancestral mentorships, shadow work mentorships, and intuitive spiritual mentorships that I do help people when they're going through transitions and different things in their life, help them reconnect to themselves and the things around them, maybe pick up goddesses they're working with, that kind of thing. What else? Joey, do I have anything else? I think that's pretty much it.
Hell Cape, you got some more Hell Cape coming back.
I do have some Hell Cape coming up with a fresh, brand new color. So that'll be soon.
That's awesome. Okay, so on my side of the fence, this is going to be springboarding a new series on my channel, which is going to be Monsters and Myth and the Magic. Monsters, Myth and Magic, and I'm going to be looking at, with Asbjorn, I'm going to be looking at Asbjorn because I live with him, but I'm going to be looking at the mythology and kind of breaking down the mythology and what that means. And I really like the talking about the Bloody Mary earlier, and so like bringing some of that in, like modern,
you need to do that.
Modern monsters. Yeah, and so we're going to be doing that. I keep meaning to record a Halloween haul because I've basically saved everything that I've bought for 3 months so I can do one haul video, because I really enjoy doing the Halloween hauls every year, and I haven't done one this year. It's mainly socks this year. It's not really. It's not really. There are socks, but it's Halloween fun stuff. And in terms of physical products, Asbjorn has just released his Stay True and Stay Awesome t-shirts, which are pretty awesome. They're pretty cool. I will be speaking at a live event on Sunday in Aberdeen. It's going to be interesting because I've never done it before. So maybe that will open up some more speaking events for me. Who knows? What nudge, nudge, wink, wink universe.
And it's going to be on an episode of the Torvals for those of you guys who aren't going to be able to see it.
Yes, so absolutely. So
I was pretty pumped about that.
We shall be tour vlogging. Which is what I'm calling it now, tour vlogging. The event beforehand, having a look at any stalls that are around there and things, as well as the speeches from both Asbjorn and myself. In terms of physical products on my side of the fence, I have been doing realm traveling candles, and you can get one for the Ironwoods for Angrboda. You can get one for Helheim. You can get one for Niflheim. What's the other one that I've done so far for the Nordic realms? Oh, and Asgard. And I have just done Elfheim for the Light Elves. That's not available on store yet, but the pictures are up and it will be available soon. And the set for the Forgotten Dead is also up now and available. So if you want to work with your ancestors...
I'm in love with that set.
It's pretty. And the oil is really gorgeous. Well, right now, so the Forgotten Dead set is available on store. starryeyedsupplies.co.uk is available right now, and you can go get it, and you can go get some bits for working with Angrboda or some bits for working with the Goddess Hell if you want, because that's all available on store for physical items right now. So I think that's it for this week in terms of pluggies.
We did forget one thing.
No?
A really big thing that happens later tonight.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Because for you it's gonna be like real late. So you guys, later tonight at, was it 6 p.m.? No, it's 7 for me. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be having on my channel Miss Joey Morris. That's right, she's gonna be later for you guys in the US. And then Molly Roberts of Her Speak, who is freaking amazing, and I'm super excited about that. And it's going to be a Goddess Stories Around the Campfire. I wanted to do something to celebrate October, Friday the 13th. And I was like, Joey, we have to do something. Something needs to happen. It needs to be epic. What should we do? And so we put our heads together, and 13 is a day of upheaval and destruction. And Friday the 13th is commonly looked at as unlucky. And so we're like, you know what? Let's take it back. Let's talk about all of the independent, dark / wild goddesses and heroines that need to be kind of lifted up and seen as lucky and appreciated for what they've done. So we will all three be talking about that with, some tea and some snacks curled up, being comfy, cozy. So if you guys are interested, come see us. We'd love to have you.
Mm-hmm. So that is it, my darlings. Me and Chris will. We need to have a conversation about making these chats between me and Chris on a regular day at a regular time, which I completely meant to do and then had no sleep for 2 days and completely forgot. So we are going to be it'll be on Chris's channel later.
Yeah, that'll be on my channel later.
We're going to make the these live chats that Chris and I do. It's going to be like midnight for the UK.
For the UK. So that's why I said that she's staying up super late for us, because Joey's doing us a solid in the US, guys.
Yeah. So we're going to make that regular, and once we know when the regular time and date is for these two on both channels, we will let you guys know, and then you will always know when the live chats are going to be. So we will do that. I think that's everything. I think that's everything. Thank you so much for joining us again, guys. As always, chat has been amazing again. I love have a nap. That would be interesting. That would be interesting in Scotland. So thank you so much once again, and we will catch you later tonight, hopefully. If not, we will catch you on the replay, even though we can't interact with you, but you can catch us, or we'll catch you on the next time we have one of these, which is regular. So thank you so much, guys, and stay flexy.
Bye, guys. Love your faces.